as I've grown. Blood in the sweat, tears of regret made me hard as stone. On my own, on my own. Put the work in, yeah, I earned it. It's my destiny.
Today is the first of something that we hope to do a few times. We are going to enter into a video series of interviewing high-level leaders. We are starting with the owner of the Chick-fil-A that I am with, and that is Chris Hall. Chris, welcome to the very first Elevated Leadership Group interview series. Yeah, you're the first one.
Sweet, I'm excited to be here.
I've been working with Chris now for 2 years as his executive director. Chris has been with Chick-fil-A for 13 years. And he's been an owner-operator for 9 of those years. For those of you, and I know there's a bunch of you out there that are fans of Chick-fil-A, some of you you work within Chick-fil-A, their corporate or franchise, you understand what that means. Those of you that don't, just know that we all should have tremendous respect for him and his position. So, Chris, again, thanks for coming, man. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
I'd love to kind of start off by just letting everyone who's watching get to know you a little bit. Sure. So could you give us like what is your journey to your role, to this position that you're now in? What has that been like for you?
Yeah, so I had kind of a unique journey. After I graduated college, I was a college basketball coach for 2 years. I was making no money, so I got a part-time job. I actually got 2 part-time jobs. Chick-fil-A is one of the part-time jobs that I got. Just to help pay bills. So I got a job making $9 an hour at a Chick-fil-A in North Carolina. Wow. And that's kind of how I started. So I was a kitchen team member, scooping waffle fries, can still remember my first day. And so I just kind of learned the business from the ground up. Got to know the operator who I worked for, who told me a little bit more about what he does and why he does it. And I thought, man, that sounds like a really cool thing. Maybe it might be something I want to try to do. So
absolutely
left coaching, decided to pursue Chick-fil-A full time.
Really quick, what was the name of the operator?
Dupree Bingham is his name.
Yeah,
he's in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Fantastic. He's still doing it.
Yep, so multi-restaurant operator.
That's awesome. Shout out to him. Yep. I mean, what a legacy. Continue, please go ahead.
So was a team member. Became a manager at the restaurant for about a year and a half, and then I went and worked for Chick-fil-A's support center, what's called a grand opening supervisor. So I coordinated new restaurant openings for about 2.5 to 3 years.
How many restaurants did you open in that time?
Yeah, about 25 probably.
25?
Probably in like 19 different states. I mean, I was all over the place.
All right.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Now you guys see why you should respect someone that gets to this level. That's incredible, man.
Crazy.
Yeah, what a tremendous amount. I can't imagine the experiences you gained, though.
Yeah, it was great to see different parts of the country. I think one of the coolest things was the operators who I partnered with to get the restaurants open just had vastly different experience. So I worked with operators who've been with Chick-fil-A for 30 years who are opening 2nd and 3rd locations. I also worked with operators who were retired 2-star generals who'd been in the Air Force for 30 plus years and were transitioning out of one career and going to another. So it's just a broad spectrum of experience, leadership style, everything.
All right, Chris, so 13 years, Chick-fil-A, 9 years as an owner operator. I know personally the restaurant that you started at and what it was like, and I know what the restaurant you're in now is like. Tremendous growth. You have to have grown because of that. Tell everyone what are some of the main leadership lessons that you have learned personally?
I think probably the biggest thing that I've learned, and that is still true today, and I think will still be true 10, 15, 20 years from now, is how do I lead myself, right? Like it starts with me. So if I'm not leading myself well, then I can't lead my team well. I can't lead a business well. So how do I keep growing so that the business doesn't outgrow me? I think Tim Tisopoulos is the president of Chick-fil-A. He's about to retire here in a couple months, but man, I can remember 10 years ago, Tim preaching that, and it's held true just with the rapid rate of growth that our business has seen. So I think it has started with personal growth for me and just a commitment to that. And then I think also, wherever you are in the organization, this goes back to my experience even as a team member making $9 an hour, of figuring out what does influence look like in the role that I'm currently in, right? And even like in our organization, we talk about like how do you lead without authority, right? Like just because you don't have a title doesn't mean that you can't be a leader. And so figuring out what does leading, even though I don't technically have authority, I don't have title or position over somebody, I can still lead and influence them in a lot of ways, either positively or negatively. And so I think being aware of that, leaning into that, and figuring out, okay, given where I am today, how can I lead in my current position and have a positive influence on the people in the business where I am now. Another thing that just came to mind too is it's a long game, right? And so I think I've had, like, my time frame has just had to shift from like week to week to month to even years. And so many times, you know, a year from now doesn't look exactly, or sometimes even anywhere near what I thought that it would look like, and being okay with that.
If you could look back to the you 13 years ago, right, that's just starting, maybe talking to this owner, thinking about, all right, I'm going to be stepping into this. If you could talk to that you, or maybe to put it another way, if there's someone out there that's considering doing what you're doing, pursuing the path of owner, operator, leadership, owning a business of some kind, what advice would you give?
Yeah, so I'll start with Chick-fil-A specifically, and then maybe go into like broader business ownership generally. But I think for Chick-fil-A, at the end of the day, like, we're a restaurant, right? That's our business, is serving people great food, a clean restaurant, friendly service, fast service. That's our business. And so I think a real grounded, like, being grounded in that reality of that's what we do every day. Just being sure that, like, man, you love, like, the restaurant business at the end of the day, because that's what we do. I think that's a big part of it for people who are specifically interested in Chick-fil-A. For business, maybe business ownership in general, find little ways that you can explore some of your entrepreneurial spirit, maybe in ways that don't take on as much risk right away. Because that's a big element of it too, is, you know, the risk associated with owning a business, and that, you know, no one's writing your paycheck. Finding ways to figure out what that looks like, or your comfort level with that, I think, before maybe just diving.
Absolutely.
Like diving into something.
How do you at some point became passionate enough about something connected to Chick-fil-A to cause you to pursue it? How does that passion that you developed and pursuing this path, how does that connect?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a couple things. So, I mean, first, I love the brand. Like, I just love Chick-fil-A. I love everything that's associated with the brand, like all the feelings that you get with that. Their commitment to people and influencing people in communities is something that I'm really passionate about. And honestly, the fact that we do it through like a $5 sandwich, and that we can provide a remarkable experience to customers in a way that really impacts them in a real way. They may not notice it or even know it at the time, but when they come back, they get a great experience. Team members are friendly. We know them by name. They trust that they're going to get great food. Chick-fil-A is not the cheapest option out there, so they trust that they're going to get value for what they're paying for, and that the experience is going to provide value for them. And when they come back again and again, and like, we become a part of their life, right? Which is a real thing in a real tangible way.
It is.
Right?
It is.
And over something as simple as a chicken sandwich. So I just love that. I think that's what ultimately motivates me to do what I do every day, is the impact on customers, and then creating a great work experience for our team. Like, are they better prepared for what's next for them because they worked for us? Like, that's kind of what motivates me as an employer.
Absolutely. You're based on our conversations, you're extremely motivated by impact of community, impact by guests. Like, that's a passion of yours. Understanding it's a restaurant business, of course, you mentioned, but also that they have a passion for that. Would you say that that's important too?
Yeah, I think ultimately that needs to be something that they're passionate about. I don't think it has to be necessarily a strength of theirs. I think that's the beautiful thing about owning a business and building a team, is you can get a group of people around you who have, like, I mean, that's you and Seth in our organization, just have different strengths than I do. But I do think, like, that's got to be a big part of it. I think, because that's just so much a part of, like, the ethos of Chick-fil-A.
Yeah,
right?
It really is. It is.
So,
what about someone else out there that's looking to start a business outside of Chick-fil-A? Would you tell them, look, man, if you're going to go through all this trouble, make sure you're passionate about it?
For sure. because, well, I think it's just a clear understanding of like why you do this.
Your why. Yeah,
Right.
know your
Yeah,
why.
like why am I doing this at the end of the day?
Yeah.
And tying what you're doing and just remembering, okay, why did I do this? Because if you don't have a clear understanding of that, then it's not sustainable.
When you think of a leader, what qualities or characteristics are you looking for to really entrust someone with to be a leader in your business?
For me, it starts with character, right? I'm ultimately trusting any leader in my business to be me when I'm not there, right?
Yeah, that's good.
And so if I need to trust that you're going to treat people the way that they should be treated, that you're going to protect the culture of the business, and then kind of moves more into being like goal oriented, right? Like this business never ends. So I need someone who is motivated by setting a 6-month goal and then going out and trying to accomplish that and doing that and gets a big sense of accomplishment out of reaching a goal.
Sure.
Or if we don't reach it, can analyze what happened and adjust and go out and redo it. I think the ability to like think like an owner over your area of responsibility is really important to me personally. Everyone has different leadership styles. If I have to micromanage or I feel like I have to micromanage someone, they're probably not going to be on my team for very long.
Yeah.
So for me, somebody who can think like an owner, think creatively, innovate. I think the most isolating feeling as the owner, like when I'm an operator, is feeling like I'm the primary idea generator for all areas of the business. The real value for me in my leadership team is having thought partners who bring thought and innovation of how can we make this better? What do we need to do different?
I'd like to add to that because what he is saying is so true, and honestly, that's a part of what draws me to work on your team. That type of leadership draws higher level leaders than a leadership or managerial style that is more micromanaging. High level leaders will have a hard time functioning in that capacity, but your leadership style, I believe, draws leaders who have higher capacities and really just makes your whole team better. If you're watching this and you're a leader out there in whatever industry, honestly, you're in, I would encourage you to prepare yourself by doing what he just said. Be a thought innovator. Come to your leadership, encourage and let them know what you see, how to innovate, how to improve. Be your leader. Even though your leader is not there, be the leader when you're there. Like, be that owner. Have that mindset. What I'd love to do is get a little bit deeper into your view of leadership within the restaurant. What would you say a restaurant leader needs to know and do in order for you to view them as a success, in order to be successful?
Yeah. So I actually think this is a little simpler maybe than you're maybe even anticipating.
Yeah,
and
yes.
I think at the end of the day, it's keeping our customers the center of everything that we do. I think in restaurants especially, we can get distracted by checklists that we have to get done. We've got to clean this, or we got to restock this. There's just so many things that have to get done that frankly, a lot of times don't add a lot of value to to the experience that customers are having. And the reality of our right now business is whatever your role is, whatever your responsibility is, we're keeping our customers the center of what we're doing.
I love that.
If you're a shift leader running a shift and you need to make a decision of whether it's the right time to run a break, thinking if I run a break, how's this going to impact the customer experience over the next half an hour while we're short 2 people? And if it's not the right time, then being able to make the decision that it's not the right time. Or if you're a senior level director and you're planning 6 months ahead and you're trying to figure out what area of the business do we want to focus on that's going to drive the most value for our customers, being able to look and see, okay, what's most important to our customers and how do we focus in that area? So it doesn't matter what level you are. I think the work you're doing looks different, but keeping that work tied to how is this going to impact our customers? Because at the end of the day, they don't have to eat with us.
In our Chick-fil-A, core value number one is we obsess over the guest. And we tell people if they will keep that centered it will drive their decisions. It will drive their actions. Everything else will be driven by that. And the product will always end up pretty good.
I do think there's a responsibility on like senior leadership, especially to incentivize that, like in lower level leaders, right? If we don't align incentives with that priority of keeping customers the center of what we're doing, then they're going to get off track, right?
Yeah.
And so aligning incentives across the business to keep that priority the priority, which can be challenging.
Yeah, it can.
But I think that's the challenge and the call of like senior level leaders in the business is figuring out, okay, how do we bring everything back to keep customers the center of everything that we do?
My last question is, tell us how you manage your position now to help people who are owners of their own Chick-fil-A's or businesses.
Yeah, so I think like there's two aspects of that. Start with like the team around me. I have a friend a former operator named Kevin Harrison, who kind of coined this phrase of like stress deflectors, right? Like people either absorb stress, they pass it on, or they deflect it, right? And so a big part of my overall health is having a team of people closest to me who are stress deflectors. And then the other part is personal wellness. Like I just try and work out. I do like a 30 or 45 minute workout every day.
That's good.
And just like sweating a little bit is like a healthy way to relieve some stress.
Yeah.
And then also I love to learn. So I'm getting an MBA now. I'm back in school. So it's kind of that 3-prong approach, I guess, of like the team around me, my personal health and wellness, and then how am I just continuing to grow
to develop
myself.
These 3 things, did you come in to this way, or did you develop these 3 focuses?
No, like, so I was, I went to the doctor 2.5, 3 years ago and weighed more than I'd ever weighed in my entire life. So it kind of shocked me into like, okay, I need to take care, like if I'm going to show up, for my family and my team, I want to show up, like I got to take care of myself first. So,
yeah, absolutely.
And same with like the team around me, right? if I got beat down and realized, okay, so like something's got to change. If something doesn't change, this isn't going to be sustainable in the long run. So it was kind of more like they were more forced upon me because I wasn't very proactive in knowing how to manage all of that.
My mind is thinking of owners out there, business owners, Chick-fil-A owners, who are earlier in the process than you are, and they haven't yet come to those crisis moments that you have, but they're feeling the pressure of it. And maybe listening to you is going to give them some clue so they can take action before something becomes more significant. I hope that this is something that has challenged you, something that you feel has been an encouragement to you, and something that's making you a better leader, whatever industry you're in, to be honest, and whatever level of leadership you're in. I am very thankful for that. If we can be a help to you in any way, all of our contact information is there. It's available in the bio and the description. Feel free to reach out. We'd love to be a help to you. And again, thank you, Chris, for it. And thank you for being a part of the first show.